Okay, and welcome. If you're watching this video, you are working on the Thrive requirements for our Google Documents lesson. So this is the document we looked at the very first day when we started this unit. So you should have already created the document. You should have already typed in the passage about sharks. You followed the correct format. Your punctuation capitalization is good. There's spacing after sentences and no misspellings. You've turned this document in, and you're ready to move on to the Thrive objectives now. So I have handed this back to you and I've given you the go-ahead. If you are listening to this video and you have not done those things, well, then you need to stop and go finish this stuff first, otherwise it won't make any sense to you. So moving down to the Thrive objectives here, we're going to work on these 5 bullets here. Number 1's already finished because you've already completed all of the Survive objectives, and so we're going to move on. And we're going to go step by step and show you each one of these, and we'll just kind of go however we can. So we'll probably do one at a time. We'll have you pause the video after each one and go ahead and do that on your own. That way you don't fall behind, because I am going to cover a lot of information. So here's my document. This is probably what you have. It looks something similar to this. No underlined words, none of that other stuff. You can see it's very kind of tight. It's very pushed together, and so the very first thing I want you to do is we're going to actually put our passage in double-spaced format. And so here's our typing. What we're going to do this is we're going to highlight all of our words that we have, and then up above in our toolbar we have some tools, and you can see this one right here that has the arrows going up and down. This is for line spacing, and what we're going to do is we're going to select double. And what that does is it just basically puts in an extra space in between each sentence. It's a very useful thing, because then, as you saw it was before, it was kind of very hard to read. It's kind of very pushed together. It's very easy to get mixed up or in the wrong spot. So if we double space that out, it's going to make that just a little bit easier to be able to read that. So that's our first step. So go ahead, pause the video. You're going to go back, you're going to highlight this, you're going to click double spacing, get it to this point, and then come on back and we'll work on the next step. Okay, so hopefully your passage is now double spaced. Now what we're going to work on is we're going to work on changing the font. Okay, font is actually how these words are made. And so right now we're using a font called Arial, which is the very first, or the default font for a Google document. In this there's a bunch of different kinds of fonts. There's a whole bunch of different types and kinds. What you're going to do is, just like we did with the double spacing, you're going to highlight your text that you want, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to look for a different font. And you can pick any font that you want, but I want you to be careful that you're not picking something that's very hard to read. Most of the Google document ones are pretty easy, but like this one, you can see that makes it a lot tougher because it's a little bit smaller. Definitely look around, have some fun checking out some of these, but please pick one that's going to be kind of easy to read. Okay, so kind of play around, pick a font that you like. When you find one that you want, keep it, and then come on back to the video. So go ahead and do those steps now. Okay, so hopefully you have your font figured out now. And we're going to move on to the next thing. We're actually going to work with our title now. We're going to center our title. We're going to put it in a larger font than the rest. And then we're also going to make this bold. So coming back here, our font that we have that you just changed now, our default size is 11, and 11 is a good size. We don't want it to get too big because it just spreads our document out too far. But our title, we kind of want that to stand out a little bit. So let's do some steps to make this stand out. So this time we're just going to highlight the title. We're not going to highlight the whole thing, but just the title. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to center this. So we want to put this in the middle of our document. Now we could put our cursor right there if we wanted to and kind of space, but that would take a very long time and it wouldn't be exact. So instead what we want to do is we actually want to come up here, and you see these are the alignment buttons, and we want to center align that so it puts it right in the center for us. So a pretty easy step. We just highlight and hit the center. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to play around with the size. We want this to be a little bit bigger. We're starting at 11, so coming up to about like 18. 18 is a pretty good number. Don't go so huge that it just makes it look absolutely kind of ridiculous. It's like something like that. That's way too big. But play around with it a little bit, have some fun, see what you can make. But kind of stick it to maybe around 18, 14, maybe 24 at the biggest. And then our last step that we're going to do with our title is we're going to actually make it bold. And when you make it bold, you can see there it just makes the letters a little darker, makes them stand out a little bit more. That's definitely a title. And you'll notice in a lot of the books that you read, when there's chapter headings or section headings of textbooks, usually they are in a bigger font and they're a bold font, just to kind of make them stand out so you can find them easily. So go ahead and pause your video, and I want you to go ahead, center this, change the font size, and make it bold, just like I showed you, and then come back and we'll work on the very last step. Okay, so we have gotten through numbers 1 through 4. We're ready for number 5 now. I have some additional shark facts that I want you to put into this paragraph. So I want to show you kind of a really nice, easy, quick trick that a lot of students kind of have some problems with. So if I have a fax, and actually these are the facts I'm going to have right here. I'm going to grab these real quick. You can come up and get those from me, so that way you're not having to just try to memorize these. But these two sentences here, I actually want them to go right up here after the word freshwater, right there. That's actually where I want them to go. So what I'm going to do is, just like I just did, I'm going to put my cursor right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start typing these in. So instead of having to delete this all, which is what we kind of sometimes do when we make a mistake on something, and maybe it's like 5 or 6 words in or a couple sentences in and we make a mistake, you're going to add that cursor, put the cursor right where you want, and then you start adding. So I'll put my spacing, and I'll actually start writing or typing my sentences right there. And just like before, I'm going to make sure that my spacing is right. I'm going to make sure I have my words spelled correctly, and I'm just going to add these in here. So I'm going to say some sharks will go weeks between meals. I'll put my period to make sure I have my extra spacing in there. So just like that, I just now added these two facts. I've put them in right there where they're supposed to go. And you notice that when I did that, everything else kind of got pushed over and it got pushed down and made room for it. So if you ever have to add something to it later on or after the fact, just put that cursor in there and then just type it right where you want it to go. So those are kind of the main things that I want us to do. If you can get all of that stuff finished and completed by the time this is due, then you'll definitely get your O. You've got all of your survive things done. You've got all of your thrive objectives completed, and you are doing very, very good. So go ahead. This video is now over with, so you can go back, add those two facts in, and you will be all set. When you get all that done, go ahead and turn it back in so that I can regrade that and then possibly give you a better grade and bump you up to that Thrive grade. So good luck and have at it.